One of the biggest news stories nationally right now has to do with the question of whether or not local police authorities use excessive force. It especially became apparent after the shooting death of 18-year-old Michael Brown. And now all of a sudden you're seeing all of these different videos going viral on YouTube that portray cops using excessive force. One of the more recent videos includes a beatdown at a Walmart, and this is in South Carolina. Now the video is kind of difficult to see, but apparently authorities were called to the scene after a man was acting erratically. There were some reports indicating that he tried to steal money out of a cash register and then he walked out, and then apparently he was claiming that someone had stolen his car, and he called authorities. When they showed up, they said that he was acting erratically, he was drunk, they thought that he was under the influence of other drugs, and so this is what happened. And again, it's a difficult video to watch, but I think it's important for you to see it and kind of decipher whether or not you think the cops used excessive force. Take a look. So they appeared to punch him more than 10 times, and the cop in question has been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. Now, they said that they had used a stun gun twice and it failed to incapacitate him. But, you know, regardless of how difficult it is to watch that video, I think that society has become really desensitized when it comes to police brutality. And the reason why I say that is because it's rarely the case these days that a cop uses non-lethal weapons or non-lethal force to incapacitate someone. Right now, it feels as though cops shoot first, ask questions later, and that's become problematic. Now, it's important to note that he absolutely was resisting arrest, but the question is, does it make sense for the cop to punch him in the head more than 10 times? I want to open it up to the panel. Hank, let me start with you. Make your point.
I saw that video and I was like, "Ooh, Walmart, clean up in aisle 2, clean up in aisle 2." I was like, it was definitely, I would say, excessive, and I believe cops are getting a lot of flack for it. But the whole story based off of surveillance is this guy comes in, he tries to like take a cash register drawer, he runs out, runs back into Walmart, runs out again, jumps into a truck, lunges at someone's knife, runs in again. Like, on a certain level, this man deserved a beat down. He was kind of asking for it. He put himself in this position, and yeah, it happened.
This is one of the few instances where I'm just happy that no one was killed, right? And
yeah.
Cops do have a really difficult job. They do have to get him under control, and he was resisting arrest. Gina, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that right now we're obviously, like, every time we see something like this, when you said, it actually was interesting, when you said we're desensitized to it, I think we're more sort of electrified by it right now. Like, so we see it and it's not like, oh damn, I bet he deserved that, but it's like, wait, what happened? I need to know because that doesn't look right. And that noise, I mean, you hear a fist hitting a skull from that far away, and it's palpable, it's visceral. So it looks bad. I'm sure it's going to be a PR nightmare if nothing else. And these days, the only defense we have is to say, well, I'm a citizen, I'm a private citizen, I'm whatever. I'm not going to jump in and try and defend this person, but I am going to pull out my camera and we are going to try and do something about this later.
Yeah, and right now, there are local police authorities like throughout the country that are doing whatever they can to take away our right to film them with our smartphones. And that is...
It's perfectly legal.
It is perfectly legal, and it should remain perfectly legal, because as long as they are public employees paid by our tax dollars, we should be able to hold them accountable. That's the way it's supposed to be. If they don't like it, tough luck, right?
And isn't there legislation that they're trying to get passed where cops essentially always have to wear GoPros?
Well, I hope. Well, some local police departments are starting to implement that policy, and I think it's a really great policy, not just for citizens that feel that police brutality is a problem, but also for cops, because they want to defend themselves and they want to clear their names of any wrongdoing, and I totally understand that. So here's the question for the story. Are you guilty of ever witnessing someone that was in trouble, but you kind of stood back and you didn't help them out? Hank.
I have, and I've only done that in, I mean, I lived in New York for many years, and so stuff went down a lot, you know, subways and stores and even the streets. And I will say more oftentimes than not, I will say something. But if I feel like my physical, my being is in danger, then I will take a step back. If I feel like it's serious enough, I will call the police. But I'm a mouthy boy, so I will oftentimes intervene. I remember doing that once at like a Chinese bakery, and someone came and was just so unbelievably rude and demanding and yelling at all these old Chinese ladies who like barely understood him, and he was super ghetto and like starting to knock shit over. I was like, listen, you know, and I got in the middle of this, and I got behind one of like the tarot, you know, bun display, and I was just putting him in his place in front of 20, 25 other people, because I was like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna come after me?
Oh, I love that.
But if I feel like I'm in danger, you know, I feel badly, but I you know, it's not smart for me to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a rational way of handling a situation. Gina, what about you?
Well, same. When I lived in New York, I live here, you know, we see stuff every day that, you know, if we were all Mother Teresa, we'd intervene all the time. But there's a sort of a shell of self-protection that I feel like we kind of need to develop, or we're fucked. So I actually was thinking more of a really personal example.
Yeah,
that
share
like,
it.
you know, and it never dawned on me until kind of just this moment.
Okay.
When I was in 3rd grade, there was a boy named Greg, and he had just moved to our school district, and the kids from kindergarten to senior in high school, we all were in the same town. So when someone new came in, they were, you know, fuck them. So this kid was bullied mercilessly for no reason except for being new, and it was so bad that he got transferred out. And I said, you know what? I will never, ever, ever, ever let that happen again. He came back the next year to visit, and I was in 4th grade, and I was kind of shy and quiet, and I wasn't like, you know, fucking running things by any stretch of the imagination. But I saw him come in, and I remember that, and I was like, Greg, come sit next to me, and kind of like had my arm around him the whole time. And I was just like, that was a huge, and I'm sorry it had to come at the expense of this boy being bullied, but it actually really shaped who I am.
That's such a sweet story. I mean that really reveals your character. That's a great story. I love that. I really do. I have a kind of embarrassing story to share. When I was in 10th grade, I had a friend who was in an argument or a fight over a boy with this other girl who was in a different school. And I remember this one day after school, we all leave, and they had somehow planned, like they planned to get into a physical fight. And everyone knew it was gonna happen. This is my best friend at the time. And I was like, I don't like that, right? But what do I do? So I go with my friend to meet this girl. There are a bunch of people there, guys and girls, ready to watch them fight. And right before it happened, I was like, how do I get involved to make this stop? But I was a 10th grader who had no idea. And I was so afraid that like I would get into a physical altercation. So it actually went down. They started beating each other up in like this alleyway, and I was scared. And then finally, like I go to get involved, and everyone like pushes me back. They're like, don't get involved in that, don't get involved in that. And then finally, I don't know how it ended. Thankfully, no one was seriously hurt, but my friend had a bald spot in her head from this girl ripping her hair out.
And I
think about it in retrospect, and I'm like, dude, if I ever had children and they were in a situation like that, I would die, right? And I still feel guilty for not being an adult, even though I wasn't an adult in that case, and like going to an administrator or going to another person and letting them know, hey, this is about to go down. It's not a safe situation. There could have been weapons involved, you know? But yeah, if you have an opportunity to be the mature one and save a situation, do it. But also make sure you protect yourself and your own well-being. Anyway, have you had similar experiences? Did you feel like you kind of wronged someone by not helping them out when they were in the time of need? And also, what do you think about this Walmart situation? Did the cops use excessive force, or do you think it was justified? Comment and share your thoughts in the section below. We'll see you guys soon.